news conference coming up at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Dan Rather. See you soon.
We've been kidding ourselves.
In trying to get all the fiber recommended by the National Cancer Institute, people added fruit, vegetables, and cereal to their diets. Unfortunately, some added the wrong cereal. You see, unlike Kellogg's All Bran, 99% of other cereals don't provide the additional amount of fiber recommended. 99%. Why settle for a fraction of the fiber you can get?
We were kidding ourselves.
When there's Kellogg's All Bran.
This is Brother Rice. He hasn't spoken a word in exactly 20 years. Now that's something to celebrate, but not a loud, boisterous celebration. More like this, the new FTD Celebrate Bouquet. Flowers, colorful bowl, and a fun box of surprises. So, when someone you know has done something worth celebrating, send the FTD Celebrate Bouquet. A fun, inexpensive celebration worth shouting about, right? The new FTD Celebrate Bouquet. A great way to celebrate anything.
Okay, take a break. Helen, you run a rough class.
If I can do it, you can. I'm twice your age, and I have arthritis.
Your knees?
Yeah, it's time for a cup of Addison.
The Addison formula contains aspirin, the pain-relieving medicine doctors recommend most for arthritis.
I won't ask you to do anything I can't do myself.
Addison relieves minor pain of osteoarthritis for hours.
Bend those knees. Higher, higher.
Doctor recommended Addison and maximum strength Addison. This is CBS.
Well, welcome back now to Busch Stadium, St. Louis, Missouri. Those fans, those Cardinal fans, are beginning to trickle into this stadium again.
Not them again. Well, both of the teams are hoping to leave St. Louis, of course, tonight with a 3-2 lead, and we'll have the story coming up on tonight's 6 p.m. report.
Win or lose, there are some folks who will be very happy to see the series end. Politicians looking for votes are finding it hard to compete with the Twins and Cardinals. Their story and the rest of the day's news in just a moment.
Dayton's is having a big sale. Exactly how big is big? You get the idea. Dayton's Jubilee Sale. It's the really, really big one.
Get on a new 88 at your Greater Metropolitan Pontiac dealers. Grand Am, Pontiac's hottest and one of America's best-selling cars. Le Mans' amazing value with prices starting at just $59.95. See all the new 88 Pontiacs now at your Greater Metropolitan Pontiac dealers. They will move you.
You are watching WCCO Television, Minneapolis, St. Paul. This is the 6 p.m. report.
Good evening, everyone. Among the stories we're covering tonight, the first sizable snowfall to hit our area this season. It came down just north of the Twin Cities. The final girder was hoisted atop the new Norwest Tower in downtown Minneapolis today. And in St. Louis tonight, the Twins will try to regain control of the World Series. We'll go there live in just a moment. But first tonight, the investigation into a plane crash which killed 4 Twin Cities residents. The small plane had taken off from Ogallala, Nebraska. It was bound for the Crystal Airport when it went down near Broughton, Minnesota. The wreckage was found in a farm field last night. Tonight, as Debbie Eady reports, there are questions about the pilot's qualifications.
The plane slammed into the plowed field with so much force it dug a 6-foot hole. It took an excavating crew with a backhoe to pull out the wreckage and victims. The 38-year-old pilot, Robert Cartes of northeast Minneapolis. His friend and business associate, 35-year-old John Friedman. Friedman's 37-year-old sister, Shirley. And her daughter, 4-year-old Rachel from Maple Grove. This morning, a team of federal investigators arrived to inventory each piece of wreckage. Take pictures.
That's okay. Stay where you are.
And field questions from the news media.
Straight in. Yeah. Until we know for sure, we'll just soon not make a statement about that.
While investigators say little, some speculate that weather may have contributed to the crash. On the trip from Ogallala, Nebraska to the Twin Cities, rain and light snow moved through the flight path, creating conditions that require an instrument flight rating. A check of pilot Cardinals' license shows that while the FAA rated him for single and multi-engine planes and helicopters, he lacked an instrument flight rating. Today, family members refuse to comment about the tragedy. Family and friends say so much remains undecided at this point, including what's to happen to this northeast Minneapolis plumbing shop, whose principal subcontractors died in the plane crash. Debbie Ely, WCCO Television News.
Funeral arrangements for the 4 victims are pending. The brisk bite of a gray October day did not deter one whit a very sizable crowd from gathering on Marquette Avenue in downtown Minneapolis at the noon hour for the topping-off ceremony of the new 57-story Northwestern Bank. All the city's officials gathered alongside hundreds of lunchtime spectators to hear the praising words of Mayor Fraser, the project's supervising architect, Cesar Pelli. And then came the moment. Bearing an evergreen tree and thousands of signatures, the building's final steel beam was hoisted up to the 57th story and bolted in place. Game 5 of the World Series is just over an hour away, and of course the question tonight is, can the Twins get back in the driver's seat? Don Shelby, Pat Miles, joining us again live from St. Louis.
Thank you, Dave. Here in St. Louis, they are feeling a lot more confident about their Redbirds, but let us tell you, it has not always been this way. We have noticed a dramatic shift in the fans and the kind of enthusiasm, certainly from the first 2 games when they lost both of those to the Twins.
You bet. If the sound level starts to kick up, the modern-day high school band is behind us, getting ready to go in and play the national anthem for tonight's start of Game 5. Now these folks that Pat's been talking about, no longer being considered the Deadbird fans. They're very wound up now, and they are talking about thumping the Twins one more time, winning here tonight, going back to the Metrodome, and winning one more game for the World Championship. Well, that's a thought that's on the mind of the Redbirds and their fans. I wonder if it's on the minds of the Minnesota Twins. Mark Rosen standing down on the field right now. Mark, how are they feeling?
Well, real loose as always, Don. I don't think there's any way to really tell before a game how a team's going to play. They felt the same way last night, and they got blitzed. So, I mean, there's never really an attitude change that much from day to day with this team. A quick overview on this club. The Twins are, of course, taking batting practice right now. They're, as usual, accustomed before a game and all those other types of things. But, they certainly left too many men on base last night. They need to tighten up defensively, but I think the bottom line, as always, is pitching. And the Twins really do expect a lot from Bert Blyleven, their captain, and he has come through when they needed him the most. The case in point, the last game of the regular season against Kansas City, when they needed that game the most. The home series, of course. They clinched the clincher in Texas when they won the Western Division. 2 more times against the Detroit Tigers in the ALCS. And, of course, in Game 2 already of the World Series against St. Louis when he struck out 8 Cardinals last week. His curveball certainly befuddled the Cardinals, who seem to have a lot more trouble with the breaking ball than the fastball. So, again, it comes down to the captain. It comes down to pitching. Viola didn't have it last night. He's the first one to admit it. But the Twins have a lot of confidence in Bert Blyleven. And Tom Hanneman has more on the St. Louis Cardinals and their outlook for tonight's game. Tom?
Well, we have a rematch of Game 2 this evening. Danny Cox going for the Cardinals. Cox, the right-hander, the kind of guy that nibbles on the corners and has a lot of off-speed stuff that has given the Twins problems. As we take a look at some of the tape here of the Cardinal batting practice this afternoon, you can see they are very relaxed, just as loose type of club. They feel the momentum is in their corner right now, being at home, having won 2 games in a row, and feeling tonight that they'll make it 3 in a row and really nail things down in this series. They are concerned about one thing right now, and that is Bert Blyleven. Jose Oquendo had these thoughts on Blyleven and tonight's game.
I expect him to pitch the same way he pitched last time. So I know sometimes when you see the guy for a while, it's different. And then the second time it might change. Nobody knows, and probably be the other way. He might pitch better than he did last time. So we will see tonight.
Well, here's a sign that folks back home might be interested in seeing. They certainly are ingenious here in St. Louis. Twinkies expiration date Saturday, October 24th. I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen. I think we've got some baseball to be played tonight, and we're going to wrap things up at home. But you gotta appreciate their signs here in St. Louis.
We'll be back a little later with more on sports.
All right, thank you very much, Tom, Mark. As you can imagine, the fans filtering into the stadium now wearing the red, and those people wearing the blue and white of the Twins. think that there's something at stake tonight in Game 5.
And we're going to have more from Busch Stadium as we continue our live report from St. Louis, but now back to the studio with more of today's news.
Very good, and another reminder of our special Twins coverage tonight, immediately following this program at 6:30, our special World Series preview, and later, following the game, the customary special edition of Twins Extra with Bob Allison. Among the items still ahead on the 6 p.m. report, St. Paul politicians finding it tough to compete with the World Series. And in response to consumer complaints, Northwest Airlines puts itself on the clock. We'll be back with the stories in a moment.
Stauffer Seeds, America's fastest growing seed company. Pride, the biggest little seed company in the Northern Corn Belt. And Northrop King with over 100 years of experience. Now these three companies are working together. Introducing the new Northrop King, the second largest seed company in America, bringing you seeds and service that are second to none. The new Northrop King, the second largest seed company in America.
Levitt's biggest sale. Every item in every Levitt showroom is on sale.
If you're trying to lose a few pounds and butter is out, you're gonna love this. Molly McButter. Now you can shake on the taste of butter for just 4 calories. Molly McButter. New Molly McButter natural butter flavor sprinkles. The taste of real butter with only 4 calories per serving. A very wholesome, 100% natural 4 little calories. So indulge yourself. Molly McButter. You've got Molly now.
Amin Z Oriental Rugs, 1408 West Lake Street at Hennepin, is closing its doors for good and time is running out. 60% off. I repeat, 60% off the entire inventory of handmade Oriental rugs.
The Persian rug we bought is a beautiful addition to our new home.
And at that price, it's a great investment.
I'll tell my friends about Amin Z and send them over to purchase a rug just like I did.
Come in and join the hundreds of satisfied customers who have selected their quality handmade Oriental rugs at Amin Z's going out of business sale. 1408 West Lake Street at Hennepin, validated parking.
Today, while it was announcing a 12-hour 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. shuttle service to and from Chicago beginning November 1st, Northwest Airlines also reported that if any one of those flights is 15 or more minutes late in arriving or departing, each passenger on the flights will receive a free one-way ticket for a future flight between the Twin Cities and Chicago. The only exception, of course, would be bad weather. The Northwest spokesman said that of its 1,500 daily flights so far in October, 86% have departed on time, 75% have arrived on time. A year ago, Control Data reported an earnings loss for the first 9 months of the year of $9.3 million. Today it reported that for that same period, its earnings were up $6.8 million. The latest results include a $43.5 million gain on the sale of 1/3 of CDC's stock holdings in commercial credit. With less than 2 weeks remaining until the St. Paul City elections, the politicians are having a tough time. As Caroline Lowe reports, the voters are more tuned into the Twins than taxes.
Political lawn signs are almost as visible as twin signs these days. But with an election just around the corner, candidates find it hard to turn on an electorate so wrapped up in the World Series.
I know I can't call you during the Twins game because I know where you're going to be. It's wonderful, actually, for the candidates because even though we would feel guilty about missing a few extra minutes, we all can sit home and watch the Twins game and not feel guilty because nobody else will want to talk to us anyway.
The candidates also find that they better wrap up campaigning by early evening on the nights the games are on TV or run the risk of losing votes.
You hope that you don't rap on a door when the bases are loaded and somebody from the Twins is up that can put the wood on the ball. And you really have to work around it.
The World Series is just so intense. We don't knock on anybody's door. We're watching the games just like everybody else.
The politicians hoped the Twins would win this series in just 4 games so they could get back to door knocking in the final weeks of the campaigns when so many voters make up their minds. The candidates also have found that some of their strongest supporters have covered political lawn signs with messages supporting the Twins.
No complaints. I don't mind being associated with the Twins at all.
And some of the candidates admit that they, too, find it hard to focus on such things as property taxes and sewer assessments with the Twins so close to winning a World Series. Caroline Lowe, WCCO Television News in St. Paul.
When Mike Fairborn joins us in just a moment, his weather presentation will be touched with a light coat of white. We'll talk with Mike in just a moment.
We'd like you to meet the people who helped us win more journalism awards last year than any other Minnesota newspaper, including a Pulitzer Prize. But they don't show up here very often, because you can't write this kind of journalism sitting behind a desk. The St. Paul Pioneer Press Dispatch. Nobody else brings you the news like this.
Shop the old-time sale at Menards for big savings in hardware. Texaco Haviland Motor Oil is on sale now. Buy a case of 12 and save even more. With Texaco's rebate and bonus rebate, your net cost is just 35 cents per quart. Harlock quality lock sets are on sale, too, for interior and exterior doors like this passage lock for just $3.49. Make Menards your hardware headquarters during the old-time sale.
At Menards old-time sale.
Would you do this to your carpet or this to your chair? Kmart brings you the Bissell Carpet Machine Plus. And with it, you can clean carpet like this, plus upholstery like this, quickly and easily. The Carpet Machine Plus shoots powerful Bissell 4-in-1 cleaning solution, while strong suction pulls the liquid and dirt back out. Remarkable. If the Carpet Machine Plus cleans like this, imagine what it can do in your home. Don't rent. Own your own Bissell Carpet Machine Plus. Just $159.87 now at Kmart.
There's no place like home.
And for the teams in the 1987 World Series, the home field advantage has meant everything. Last night in St. Louis, the Cardinals blitzed the Twins 7-2 to tie the World Series at 2 games apiece. Tonight, join Mark Rosen and the Channel 4 sports team live from Busch Stadium and find out what the Twins will have to do to break the Cardinals' home field hex on Twins World Series Preview. Tonight, 6:30, Channel 4.
There it is, folks, for you urbanites living outside Chisago County. More than just casual flurries, slop, gook, gurgle, glop. Even in October, the aesthetics of winter have some appeal, I guess, for Eskimos, that is. Am I going to be playing that same kind of tape tomorrow night at this
Not
time?
for here, no. And it's a good thing it didn't snow in the city. Can you imagine how much fun the riders down in St. Louis would have had with that if it had snowed in the Twin Cities?
Where it's been considerably colder than it has here.
Well, anyway, it did snow up north. I'm going to show you a radar picture from early this morning, about 7 o'clock. You can see this band just north of us. It did come through northern Anoka and Washington County and then over into western Wisconsin. Underneath that, as much as 3 to 4 inches of snow fell in this area right up just to the north of us, 1 to 2 inches right down into the northern suburbs, extending all the way back out into the Detroit Lakes area. And up along the North Shore, we had a report earlier that Lutheran had received 5 inches of snow. Cancel that out, cross it out. They had 10 inches of snow. So snow still falling over in parts of Wisconsin right now. Still a lot of clouds working the way around over us. And it's a good thing we're getting out of St. Louis when we are. It looks like it's going to turn wet down there. We had 40 degrees for a high today, 34 for an overnight low. 1/100 of an inch of precipitation is all the airport had, and that was a trace of snow. We had a little bit of flurry activity around. Game time, temperature's going to be in the 50s, so it will be warmer. Winds will be out of the southwest at 10 to 15, kind of diminishing throughout the game time. This little front pushing south is going to allow some moisture to come north and produce rains over much of Missouri tomorrow. For us, a little bit of flurry activity still lingering on, but the weekend's not looking too bad. It might be a chance to get out and take care of some of those last-minute yard chores. High temperatures for tomorrow will be in the 30s to the north, 40s over much of southern Minnesota. It's still going to remain mild onto the south. We won't worry too much about St. Louis, though, after tonight, will we? Current conditions, we're cloudy. It's 38 degrees, humidity 73%, north winds at 14, a dew point of 30, barometer 3008, and rising. Our forecast then, mostly cloudy, still a chance of some flurries around, 32 degrees for a low, northwest winds at 5 to 15, still some flurries possible tomorrow, 42 degrees for a high, then turning partly cloudy tomorrow night and 28, and Saturday partly cloudy and 44, and that's the beginning of a warming trend. We should climb out of the 40s into the 50s to near 60 degrees by Tuesday. Overnight lows climbing out of the 20s into the 30s. Too bad we couldn't get the warm weather in here for the weekend, right after the weekend anyway.
Thank you, Mike. In a moment, our World Series coverage will continue with a trip deep into enemy territory, the small town of Festus, Missouri.
What you're asking me to do is absolutely illegal. you don't let your client just fry because you want to play by the rules.
A public defender facing the biggest dilemma of her career.
Have you had contact with a juror on this trial? If I find any evidence of collusion, I'll have you disbarred.
A juror with information that can help her.
I mean, I thought the whole idea was to find the truth.
Or destroy her. Cher, Dennis Quaid, Suspect, rated R.
Starts tomorrow at a theater near you.
You've got style. You've taken the best and refined it. A lot more. You want a car with a lot of breeding. A car already recognized as pick of the litter. The all-new 88 Corolla sedan. It all starts at your Toyota dealer. He'll help with a deal that makes sense for you. Great car, great deal, but you gotta go see him. Now, when you step out, you'll come alive. So head to your Toyota dealer and ride with the best.
Get ready. Get ready.
Hello, welcome aboard.
Royal Caribbean, when you're ready for something better.
Thank you. You know, snacking's a big part of that TV football season, so let's kick off that season with some cheese, glorious cheese. Here's how. You slice some fruit, eat it with cheese during a game. Breadsticks, eat them with cheese during a game. Or eat cheese plain during a game. Halftime, go to the store, stock up on cheese, eat it during a game. Till next time, I'm the Hasty Gourmet. Bye-bye.
Cheese, glorious cheese.
All week we've been hearing from Cardinal fans in St. Louis, but the team, just as we do here in Minnesota, has diehard fans throughout the state of Missouri, including the town of Festus, which is where Cindy Hilger was dispatched today. She joins us now from Busch Stadium with the story. Cindy?
Well, Dave, that's right. We traveled outside the city to hear from people from rural Missouri, and we found out that their loyalty to the Cards is just as strong as it is among people who live here in St. Louis. Festus, a town of 7,500 people, 40 miles south of St. Louis. A quiet town with friendly people, people excited about Cardinal baseball. They were talking about last night's game at the White Grill this morning.
Oh, Willie's great when he grabbed that ball, boy. He stretched out, boy, really grabbed it, didn't he?
You won't find the frenzy in Festus like you do in some parts of St. Louis, but the people here say they're just as devoted to the Cards as the big city folks.
We're going to win, win, win.
The town's biggest fan, 88-year-old Marion Gray. She's worked in this cafe 34 years. Now, she hasn't been a Cards fan that long, but she is excited about this team and has no doubt they're going all the way.
Well, because I think it's a good team. And I don't know, I think I'm Minnesota. They're new to us. But we played some of the real good ones, you know, and I think that we'll win. I still do.
The sentiment is the same, no matter who you talk to here in Festus.
We're going to win.
No doubt about it?
No doubt about it. We've got them by the neck.
Well, Dave and Mark, I don't know where they've got him, but there is no disagreement among the people who live here that this is a very important game, no matter if you are a Cardinals fan or a Twins fan. And we're going to throw it back to Mark Rosen, who is standing inside Busch Stadium. Back to you, Mark.
Got him by the what? Well, anyway, after 2 chilly nights here in St. Louis, the temperature's almost summer-like here at Busch Stadium, and it's the Twins who are hopeful of turning up the heat on the Cardinals. Sports is up next.
Severe weather has messed up another Monday morning. If you don't have to go out, don't.
Got important things to do. Goodyear always gets me through.
The Goodyear Vector has a self-cleaning tread for extra traction through snow. And some people have learned to make the most of it.
Unfortunately, 5 more inches are heading our way.
Goodyear, take me home.
What exactly is a medical specialist?
You can see on this scan of Jimmy's bone structure.
When do you need a medical specialist?
See that, Mary? Your baby's doing just fine.
Where do you find a medical specialist?
Thus far, the cancer is limited to the area around...
How do you know that you have the right medical specialist? For the answers, call Hennepin Faculty Associates at 347-4262. 240 medical specialists who teach, conduct research, and provide skilled specialist care.
David is right at home with indoor air pollution. You are too. So many familiar things inside can pollute the very air you breathe. Surprised? Honeywell isn't. Today, you need a quality Honeywell air cleaner. It can remove up to 95% of the air's polluting particles. Switch to a better environment. Call now to learn more about a Honeywell air cleaner.
Fair and warmer. Partly cloudy and light sprinkles. A few flurries.
When the going gets rough, get going with the front-wheel drive Fords, Taurus, Tempos, and Escorts. North America's quality front-wheel drive cars. For four-wheel traction, try a Bronco 2 or an all-wheel drive Tempo. See them during weather-wise time. On now at your Northland Ford dealers.
Clear and cool tomorrow.
Well, it's Game 5 of the World Series tonight here at Busch Stadium, and so far, of course, it's been a series that's been dominated by the home team, and certainly 3 of the 4 games have already been blowouts. Last night's no exception, 7-2 the final, St. Louis over the Twins, with most of the action occurring in the 4th inning. Again, last night that was the case. Certainly the Cardinals outplayed the Twins in every facet of the game last evening. The Twins fans, the Twin fan or not, you have to appreciate the play of Ozzie Smith, the wizard who stopped the Twins rally cold with a play that he has made well throughout his illustrious career. The stop was tremendous, his throw even better. The shot heard around St. Louis last night. Tom Lawless, the Cards' replacement third baseman, who has made as many starts in the postseason, 3, as he made all season. He hit a Frank Viola pitch just over the wall. After he hit it there, Lawless stood bat in hand to admire it. He finally tossed his bat away, not really showing up the Twins. He's just stunned as anyone else. Only his 2nd career home run. It was St. Louis's turn to celebrate the 4th. 6 runs, a 7-2 win for the St. Louis Cardinals. And joining me right now is Peter Gammons, the Sports Illustrated writer, the astute writer who is always right in his predictions. Peter, analyze the series, nuts and bolts. Is it a home field advantage that's going to make the difference?
I don't think it is anymore. I mean, I think it would be impossible for the Cardinals to go back into Minnesota and win 2 games, but that's just because of their offense playing in that ballpark. I mean, this is a series right now that I think really comes down to tonight. And, you know, you got Blyleven and Cox. You got 2 of the best pitchers in the game. And in a way, it wants no hopes for Blyleven, a guy who's pitched on 2nd division teams all his life and tagged as this can't-win-a-big-game pitcher. If he wins this, it'll be 6-0 lifetime. He might even pitch himself into the Hall of Fame if he wins tonight. I'm not kidding.
Are the Twins getting enough mention in the national media in terms of respect? Are they, because of from the Western Division, everyone keeps saying, well, they only won 85 games during the season, or are they gaining respect?
I think they're gaining it, but I don't think they've gained enough. I mean, okay, they won 85 games during the regular season. That's that. But that doesn't take away from the fact that they probably have more good everyday players than any team in the American League. And it doesn't take away from Viola and Reardon and Blyleven being outstanding pitchers. And, you know, it's really too bad that the individuals on the Twins, Gaetti, Brunansky, Herbeck, Puckett, the rest, really haven't gotten a whole lot of the Dome, the city of Minneapolis, Tom Kelly have gotten more attention than some guys who really are outstanding players and have been for 5 years.
Any manager's edge when it comes down to this, if it's a 7th and deciding game, or is it the players on the field are going to decide it?
I think it's the players on the field. I mean, I think Herzog probably has an advantage if you get into a wild game because he's got more good pitchers than Tom Kelly does. But, you know, that's personnel, not managing it.
Peter, thanks much for your comments tonight.
Okay.
Peter Gammons of Sports Illustrated. And Peter mentioned the pitching matchup tonight. It is the same as Game 2. Danny Cox against Bert Blyleven. And Bert, as Peter mentioned, has been outstanding in the postseason. He struck out 8 last week at the Dome against Cox, who had some troubles. Of course, the Twins hammered him pretty good in that 4th inning. Elsewhere in sports, the Minnesota Vikings are going to be playing the Denver Broncos. The question is, when will the game be played? Of course, Game 6 of the World Series is back in Minnesota Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock. Now, if the series ends on Saturday night, the Vikings-Broncos game will be played Sunday at noon at the Metrodome. If there is a 7th and deciding game on Sunday, then the Vikings-Denver game will be 8 o'clock Monday night. So the Broncos will be in town. They'll be sitting back watching the TV, just as everyone else in the Twin Cities will, waiting to see if they're going to be playing football against the Vikings on Sunday. That's it here from Busch Stadium.
It's almost too much. It's too much for me to handle, Mark. That's tonight's 6 p.m. report. Thank you, and good night.
The things we do to get even with our cars, just because the engine's hesitating or making funny noises, when it's so easy to bring it to Precision Tune. Precision Tune stops your engine stalling and gas guzzling with a fuel injector cleaning. So don't take it out on your car. Instead, aim for the nearest Precision Tune, the engine performance experts.
See the yellow pages or call the connection.
When Minnesota's only 5-star Ford dealer says no down payment, we mean it. Here at Bob Carter Ford, drive this 1988 Escort for only $157 a month. No down payment and $157 a month. Or how about this 88 Special Edition Taurus for just $269 a month? $269 and no down payment. No security deposit, no first month charge, no plate fee, no hidden charges. When we say no down payment, we mean it. Here at Bob Carter Ford, 7 minutes east of the airport at the new 494 in South Robert.
Heinz Dog Food asks, what would happen if dogs ran the world? Humans would have to drive with their heads out the window. All valuables would be buried in the backyard. Sniffing would replace handshakes as a formal greeting. And people would have to buy their dogs Heinz Dog Food, sold only at pet stores. Because the nutrition in Heinz makes a healthy difference you can see and your dog can feel. Heinz, special pet foods found only at special stores.
WCCO Television, Minneapolis, St. Paul.